Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to the little check-in for using the stash in 2026. So I am going to reserve these little check-in videos for project grants, which we have one, and for larger projects. Over the course of 2026, I'm trying to make a whole bunch of socks for friends, family, my husband in particular. He says he'll wear them, and he doesn't normally wear a whole bunch of the type of stuff I generally make, like hats and scarves. So if he'll wear the socks, I'll just make him a whole bunch of socks to wear. I don't want to check in with all these like one skein projects, but I do want to check in where we're using a group of stuff. Until I move out of what I set aside in 2025 for machine knitting, we probably won't talk too much about what I'm grabbing for the flatbed or for the Addy here, but we will be talking about things that like we did in the first one where I found the shift pattern and the Pink Panther shawl pattern and said, hey, let's go pull some yarn together. We'll kind of do check-ins. Sometimes we'll have vloggy bits, which we do have for this video too. But I want to reserve this for more where I'm pulling together 2 or more yarns into a project. Even a lot of the 2 yarn projects I probably won't discuss too much here. I don't want to bombard you guys with this type of content, especially with the show and tells and Project UFO plus the mouths and all that stuff. Like, I don't want to like just inundate you guys with constant rambling about the same 5 things. But I do want to do check-ins where we talk specifically more about my brain space around projects and using the yarn I have in my stash, because you guys really seem to enjoy that, and it helps you guys just as much as it helps me talk through the process. And I love hearing your tips and tricks and advice and responses about how you do things differently than I do, because it does help me and my community. If you're new here and aren't familiar, my community reads the comments in a lot of these videos. So when you come in and leave a comment that is how you do it differently, or, oh, I do that too, but this is what I do along with that, leave those comments, because when people come here, they read the comments a lot of times. And I want to once again reinforce we're a bunch of crafty people trying to help each other out. So leave your comments if you're new, because my community does actually read them. I want to hear your input as well, because I think it's valuable to get multiple different insights onto things, because we don't all craft exactly the same. So it's good to see the advice and tips and hints from other crafters. I'm just one voice. So welcome if you are new here. What I'm wearing is my library wrap. This is a free pattern from Lion Brand that I catastrophically did wrong. Come back on Thursday, let's see, this is going up on Tuesday, the 22, 21, or 22, 23, 24th. So come back on Tuesday, February 26, 2026, if you want more information on the wrap that I am wearing. My shawl pin, I believe, is from, this is not Knit Picks. This is from, ooh, if I can remember their name, I will put it in the description box down below. They're a business that is at the Southern Comfort Fiber Market. This is a shawl pin that I got my first year at the Fiber Market. So anyway, last time we checked in here, I had pulled the yarn for the Pink Panther shawl as well as for the shifts wrap. So let's do shifts first. We'll get into the Pink Panther rant, and then next thing that occurred as far as using a hunk of things, a hunk of yarns. So shifts I have made progress on. I am now knitting that actively. So I've gotten a, acceptable amount with, other projects working on this. I did end up pulling a whole bunch of extra yarns. I will try to remember to insert a picture of the basket with the yarns here. So I pulled like a Koiju, Wild Gal yarn scrap. There's like 8, 9, 10 yarns in there now. So I've just added a whole bunch of options. I do have a sheet where I've got each yarn is labeled by a number, and I'm randomly generating what yarn goes in next. I also, instead of following the pattern exactly, I am doing a randomized number of garter stitch ridges before each color change. That way I can take it kind of more on the go. If we have a long car trip, this is something I could put in my lap, especially because now we've turned the corner and I'm just knitting straight back and forth every single row. So yeah, we do have a color change in there. You can see where it's a little bit whiter at the tip and we get a little bit more pinky up here. And I'm working with the Arkansas Yarn Company Summer Vibes, as well as Southern Skeins in Tricks. So this one's going great so far. We do have some extra yarn, so we'll have a little bit more variety going in there. And by not cutting up my yarns like the pattern says that she does, or how she designed the pattern to be, it means that any scraps or leftovers I have from this will be complete balls. So if I have 20 grams left, I can put it in my 20 gram fingering weight bag. I have a 10-gram bag, and then anything under 10 grams goes into my scrap shawl project. So there's that. Well, we'll talk about this too, because I can just easily drop this into my thing. I did pull a UFO project. So I am, trying to get this out of my stash technically. So we do have that as well going on. It doesn't quite play in here as much as it does with Project UFO, but it is worth mentioning. I do have that also coming out of my stash, hopefully very quickly. So the Pink Panther shawl. So I've had to bag it. I got some fairly live reaction clips that we will splice in here in a second. But I ran out of yarn. Even though I weighed it at the middle, even assuming that this was 93 grams, which I thought it was, I thought it was short, I still somehow ran out right at the tip. I am getting ready to do this yarn over row. That's how far I have left to go. I do not have very far at all, but as these ends are going to meet, I need to get another yarn that will blend very well with this. So this yarn, the Unique Sheep Verve Base, You and Me is the color. This is 16 years old yarn. So I did go on Ravelry to see if anybody had it in their stash. And the one person who had it from the Eat Sleep Knit kit is in New Zealand. There was somebody who had a hank in their stash, but this was from not just a completely different dyelet. This is, you can tell there's a huge saturation difference. This is more dusky than that. I'll do the hand wrap picture that I took. It's more pastel neon. So we've got a very different tone to the yarn here. It might work in theory. I can put in a lifeline, cake this up and put it in and see if it blends enough. But this has a lot more of like that purpley blue color, and the pink is far more saturated. The gold is way more mazy than what I had in my original hank. So I'm hesitant to do that. So the unboxing for this first. Okay, so I am at my post office here. I have the replacement yarn, or the extra skein for the Pink Panther shawl. So let's see whether or not this is going to work. I found this after, I don't know what I've told you guys, but I found this after I ordered 3 different options that might replace it. So the Sheepyshire Mini is at the house now. The other 2 are being custom dyed. So, or they're their custom dye options. So let me get this label off here, and we'll see whether or not this is going to work. My fear is, and I'm going to tell you this before I pull it out, the yellow is going to be too mazy and not that neon yellow like we have in the original hank. Because that's what the pictures look like for the ones that were not part of the subscription box with Eat Sleep Knit. The only other one from the subscription box from Eat Sleep Knit I could find is in New Zealand. So That's really not much of an option. It's not going to work. It is dusky pastels. And it is way too mazy. I don't think that's going to blend in well, and the color saturation's much higher on this one. All right, so I really hate to frog this back to the middle, because then if I frog it back to the middle, I can use this for the other half. True, but is that really what I want to do? That's so frustrating. She didn't charge me much for it. I think it was, she charged $25 for it, and I gave her a little extra because I did it as a business. Man, that sucks. And these do say they're 100 grams. Mine appears to have been 91 grams, so I don't know. This is just not my month. Things are just not coming up, Carrie, this month. All right. Well, I guess we'll wait for the custom dyes. We'll take a look at the Sheepy Shire. We'll have to make a decision at some point. The other two, I think, are my better shot. I didn't realize when I placed the order on Etsy that they were going to be custom, that I was going to have to wait for. So I guess onwards and upwards. Well, Sheepy Shire's not going to work either. So we have way too much blue in here. It's a little bit closer to what I was looking for. At least this one's pastel. But crap. Good news, though, is Sheepy Shire does have a Yarn of the Month club. So if you were interested, if you've looked at the Sheepy Shire before and you like their yarns, this is like the third or fourth yarn I've gotten from them. I think their yarns are adorable. You know, hit them up for their Mystery Yarn of the Month club if you're interested. But yeah, this isn't going to work for finishing my project. So I guess we will wait until the end of the month to see if the other two come in, and those are going to work. So later the same day, I got a mini skein that I had ordered before I found the extra skein here in the US. This is from Sheepy Shire. Unfortunately, this is so close, it's painful. It's not neon, but it is in the same pastel tones. The yellow is still, you know, more bright and a little bit more phosphorescent looking. There's a little too much blue and a little too much white, I think, for this to really work. I do have one more skein on the way. It should be here by the end of the month. That I could maybe use. I really hate this because I went from getting 150 grams out of my stash to I've now added 110 grams to my stash as it stands. But I really love this fabric and I genuinely want this project. So this is a sacrifice I'm just going to have to bear in order to finish this project. I will, since this probably won't work, I do have an idea for some mini skeins that I want to make over the course of the next year or two that will be scrap-esque projects. So this will go into that. So I'm not worried about the mini skein, but I'm going to have 2 100-gram hanks regardless that I've got to either put into this or figure out how to also use now. So I'm a little annoyed, a little frustrated that this did not succeed in my goal of using stash yarn up and getting it out of my stash, that I now am in this position. I weighed this. I don't know what happened. I don't understand what happened because I was like, when I hit that middle point, I was like, okay, I've still got 40 grams left, which would have been 40 grams out, which makes this like an 80 gram hank to begin with, which doesn't make sense. It says that it's 100 grams on the ball band. So I'm working from the weight of the yarn. I don't know why this ended up so far off. But yeah, I was weighing it at the middle because I could make it a little bit larger and then put a second yarn in there, because I do have other, you know, pastel neon-y type yarns that I could have done a half and half, and it would have distinctly been half and half. Anyway, that's where that one is. And until I get that other hank, I don't want to make the decision to commit to putting in a lifeline, trying the new verve, and then it just not working out, and then having to rip back and then try the new, because I don't want to have like, part of the reason why that sat in my stash so long is it was caked up in a bag hidden. And I prefer this out in the open style. It helps with visibility for me to see what I have and pull from what I have. If it's in a cake hidden in a bin, I'm not going to see it. And if it's in a cake, the odds are I'm not going to pull it. My caked yarns tend to be later pulls, and I tend to only have solids that I leave like that, or partials, because those do tend to be things that I gravitate towards far less, just because they're limited visibility. My ADD brain just doesn't see them. So I'm a little disappointed. It's one of those, I have to accept it. It is what it is. And this is part of the problem of using, you know, 15-year-old yarn out of your stash, is you're just going to come across irregularities that are very hard to counterbalance for. All right. Coffee still. We are filming early in the morning. I'm actually filming this yesterday for when it's uploading. I'm filming this on Monday, the 23rd. I have time, energy, and I'm not in pain, distress, or anything else. So I'm going to take the opportunity. There's nothing weird going on in my house. This should have been up Saturday, but as we'll discuss in Thursday's video as well, Friday ended up a total wackadoo show, and filming did not occur. So here we are. Here we are. So next up, I did pull a huge hunk, 800 grams for another project. So I have 4 200-gram balls of Lion Brand Touch of Alpaca. This came, once again, in a different mystery box. This was part of, I can't remember if it's round 1 or round 2 with Mary Maxim, but I'm pretty sure this was a Mary Maxim or maybe Annie's subscription review box. This came with a sweater pattern, and it was a high-low hem. It's just not my vibe, but I love this color. Like, this is one of those, it's called taupe, and this is 90% acrylic, I believe, and 10% alpaca. Yeah. So it literally is just a touch of alpaca there. But this is that like perfect wheaty, I love wheaty browns, and it's a great neutral. It goes great with so many other colors. It goes great with so many different options. So I thought this would be a perfect prayer shawl. So every year, Victoria Methodist in Bristol, England does a Lenten and Advent make-along. Generally, it's like a shawl at Lent and then like some sort of giftable at Christmas, I think. So, or for Advent. I think they did like placemats this last Advent, and it was a shawl. Anyway, this year I really wanted to participate. I'm not doing anything, you know, one year I did, well, a couple of years, I did a shawl a week where I was just cranking out, you know, granny shawls and circle shawls and stuff. And I would do, that would be all I worked on for the week until it was done. And then I could work on other projects. I'm not going to do that this year. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on myself this year. We have a lot going on here in the next couple months between doctor's appointments, medical things we need to get done. We have, events, family events, friend events, and things that we have to attend. So even though I'll have like car ride time, I don't want to, you know, box myself into a situation where, anyway, I don't want to overcommit. I don't want to overcommit. I want to participate in my make-alongs this year. I have so much that I want to do. we're going to keep it simple for Lent. So this is great because it's every day you get a reading, you get a portion of the pattern, anywhere from like 8 to 12 row kind of thing. So it's not a huge time investment. Because I had 4 of these, I did decide to do the extra large size of this. Like I said, I'm filming this Monday after Lent, or after Ash Wednesday. So I started this last Wednesday. I have completed through today. So this is where I am. I have not weighed my ball yet. If by day 20, I am wrapping up the yarn, I may actually turn this into a baby blanket because it is the right width for a baby blanket. The pattern is written for Sport DK with a size 6 needle. I am using a worsted weight with size 8 needle just because I didn't have a size 7 free. But I'm very happy with this. I love how this is working up. I might have to go back and make myself one at this rate. I love a big blanket wrap. So I did want to do the extra large. It's the size 4. And I did have 4 balls, which is, like I said, 800 grams of this. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. It's 1,000 yards-ish of this yarn. So anyway, I've got, I think this is less than 100 grams, but I could be wrong. It's very hard sometimes to tell in these big balls really how much you've used, but I'm very excited. So I did pull 800 grams out to work with from my stash. So once again, this is another time where the project came first, and then I was able to pick a yarn. I really, until I saw the email come through, I've signed up for their, I will leave a link on Ravelry for where they talk about like how to sign up for the email and everything. But they do share this in the Ravelry free patterns group. It's in the free make along section. So you can sign up for the emails and they just automatically leave you signed up for the next make along. So I think you can still sign up for the Lenten one and get the first 2 things. And then anyway, you're adults, you can read, you can figure it out from there. So yeah, I am very happy with this. I'm very pleased with this. I'm very excited to, once again, that's 800 grams. That is no longer in my wall. I have a little bit of a hole down here, but yeah, I'm very excited to see how this turns out because it is a mystery. It does, they did say if you're not familiar with lace knitting, you might want to practice, putting in lifelines every so often. But we started off, first week was these diagonal eyelets. Then we started Sunday with these little posies, offset posies. And I do think this is adorable right here where we just have the one little yarn over to accent those. We did just change where our stitch markers are placed at the end of today. So I have a feeling we might have a change of pattern here coming up. So I'm very excited to see what comes next. And like I said, it's nice. You get a little reflection. Sometimes it's a personal reflection. Sometimes it's a scriptural reflection. This week seems to be more scriptural. Different people have participated in writing the patterns as well as doing the reflection. So I think there's the Reverend of the Victoria Methodist Church. I think she did the reflections for week 2, whereas the first one was done by Becky Hudson. The pattern was by Lynn Lloyd-Jones for the first section. I don't know off the top of my head who the second section was, but collaboration all the way around. So I'm very excited. Once again, I came to my stash. I'm working from my stash. So I have found a couple more patterns where I'm like, I think I might have the yarn for something like that. I do still also have the t-shirt I'm wanting to cast on. And I did find another crochet top, and it uses the gradient cakes. And I have a number of those. I think I have some in the right weight. And I'm like, March's make along is garments. So I know I have one that started and pretty far along that's crocheted, one that's knitted that's not that far along. I would really like to go ahead and work on making the raglan tee from my flatbed knitting class. So that would be a couple of baby sweaters out of that. There is a tank top that she also demonstrated that I think would be kind of cute as well. So next month we might have a lot more, focus, but we'll see. We'll just see how it works out. But I did want to insert the clips from, the post office and when I got home and the mail came with the Sheepyshire yarn. I wanted to let you know what was going on with that is just kind of like a side tangent. It's part of the honesty, the trials and tribulations of working with older stash, trying to, fix mistakes and figure out what to do going forward. So in the show and tells, we'll hear more about that coming after this week. So hopefully as soon as I get that next yarn in, I'll be able to make a decision and decide how to finish this off. It wouldn't bother me if I knew this like in the middle and I was doing like a weird strip down the back. But the fact that that's going to wrap and those two ends are going to sit side by side. So if it's a dramatic difference, like if I can see it in the fabric, you're going to see it when they're sitting together. So that's the problem with that really for me is it's just going to be super obvious if the yarns don't at least blend together kind of seamlessly. I mean, I don't mind tinking back, 5 rows and alternating the new yarn in, but if it's still going to be obvious when they're sitting side by side, what's the point in even ripping back and trying to put that in? My other option will be to rip all the way back to the middle of the shawl, use one of the new yarns to do the second half and just go all the way back to the middle, which would be a royal pain in the rear end because this is 2 yarns held double. So I will have to rip back to the middle and separate those yarns as I go. So I'm not going to tink that. I'm going to have to frog it, lay it out on the table, slide my needle in real fast. And hopefully I can get Troy to just sit there and do this with the yarns and help me to keep them separate as I'm frogging back. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. That would be very disappointing for me, but it is what it is. Life. Like I always say, life, she's a life, and sometimes you just have to roll with the punches. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed our quick little jump back in here talking about how, why, when, and where. And I've got a whole bunch of scrap projects that I'm hoping to work on here in the next week. I do also have my row ones and stuff like that. So I've got some fun stuff coming up here at the end of the month, beginning of March, on top of this, plus I want to check in with Project UFO and stuff because, between last month and this month, I am actually making some progress towards Project UFO as well. So I don't know. It's just a whole bunch going on. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day. As always, I look forward to seeing you guys real soon. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. How do you address these things? What do you think? What do you do? What if you were in my position with the Pink Panther shawl, how would you be handling just having that much left to go and running out of yarn before you can get there? So I would love your input because as a decision still has not been made, I could use you guys' input here. So I love you. Take care. Bye, guys.